Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Let's Take a Look at video. And today we're taking a look at a game called Out of the Park Baseball 20. What this game is all about is pretty self-explanatory. I think it's a baseball management sim. So you're the manager of a baseball team, or the general manager of a baseball team, and you kind of control all of the elements that go into that baseball team. And you try and win games. So it's pretty self-explanatory in that way, but I've logged a couple of hours into this game so far, and I've had a lot of fun with it, and I figured, hey, why not do a video on it? Alrighty. I have a game started already because I've logged a couple hours into it already, so I'm familiar with this particular save. So this is what we're rolling with for the time being. And we're in the middle of a game here, but before I get into that, I do want to cover, everything that is going on here. So, right now I'm a manager. I'm not a GM. I'm a manager. So if you're not familiar with baseball, a manager is essentially a coach. I know that's like, I don't want to kind of like discredit it like that, but you're essentially a coach. And so you manage all of the coaching elements, revolving around your team. And right now I am the manager of the Louisville. Yeah, for a second I thought that said something else. The Louisville Bats, who are the AAA team of the Cincinnati Reds. And so when you're starting out in this game mode, and there are multiple game modes, by the way, but I'm showing off the, just like the standard manager mode, I think. I know it's the standard mode, but there's like a challenge mode, I think, and other stuff like that. But starting out, you don't get access to managing an MLB team. You have to start out from a smaller position and then work your way up to it. And so I picked a AAA team, which is as close as I can get to an MLB team. And so we're 17-12. We're top of the division. We're doing pretty well, but I'm trying to remember. I know that we didn't start at the beginning of the season. I picked up in the game. I picked up on where things were at on the current date that I started playing. So I think the current date was like April 9th of this year or something. So it started me at April 9th, and now we're like it's like May 10th or something like that. So I've played about a month in game time. So all of that out of the way, I do want to touch upon what we're looking at on screen here, because it's a lot. It's a lot to look at to begin with, but once you kind of settle in, not nearly as much to really worry about. But this is your general home screen. It'll give you an overview of just about anything you would need to know aside from lineups and stuff like that. Tells you your next game, your tasks, like anything that is, if you have a discrepancy in your lineup or in your pitching lineup or something like that, it'll let you know here. I don't. So it's just telling me I'm ranked 2nd out of 14 in the latest power rankings, and a spot has opened in center field, and whatnot. And then this is your inbox as well, and you will receive news in your inbox. You can actually check, what news you want. I'm subscribed to just about everything, but, you'll get news on players that you lose, players that you get, you get the power rankings, you see who wins player of the month, stuff like that. It's essentially what that consists of. And then to kind of take it back here a little bit, you have your schedule, your team schedule, who you're playing, whatnot. Your goals, This isn't activated because I'm not a GM, but you'll have goals here. I'm not sure if they are goals that you necessarily pick out on your own or if they are goals that are set for you. But, once you are a GM, there will be goals for your team that you'll have to try and meet, and that'll influence whether or not you stay a GM for the team that you are a GM for. And then the standings over here, self-explanatory. All right, so I think, and then this is all, like, you can make a note, and put whatever you want in it. I haven't used this. Don't really see the point, to be honest, but it's here, so you can use it if you want. And then history, it'll show you your history and what you have done over the course of your career. So I am 13-8 since I started, and our record is 17-12. So you can see that, like, I'm not. What was I gonna say? I'm not the. I didn't start at the beginning of the season. That's what I was trying to say. It says my job is manager plus GM, but I'm GM of the AAA team, so I can't, like, bring people in. I can't bring players in. The owner does that. That he takes players away and he gives me players. So I don't really have any influence over that. Hence why, like, I can't do anything with any goals or anything like that, because I don't have actual GM influence. So there's that. And then the final thing is manager options, which shows you all of this. I changed my name. I had put my actual name, but then I realized before recording this, I was like, I can't have that there. I don't want to reveal any private information. So, and you can change your screen setup as well, like what you want shown on this screen here or on any screen, I think, for that matter. Nope, never mind. But yeah, so this is to get into the nitty gritty a little bit of what you can do, in terms of your controlling your team. These are your pitchers. You have your starting pitchers, your relief pitchers, and this is your starting rotation. Right now, I only have 4 starting pitchers, so there's nothing I can really do. I can only start 4 pitchers, but, normally you have enough to have a full rotation. You can see how they're doing, how many innings they've played, their wins, losses, et cetera, et cetera. Pretty self-explanatory, to be honest. You have a lot of stats at your disposal as well. So, you can get into the nitty-gritty as much as you want, or as little as you want, really, because a lot of this is pretty self-explanatory. And then you can adjust some things in your bullpen, like what these are all of your relief pitchers. Well, mostly your relief pitchers. And you can designate, how long you want them to relieve for when they come into a game, or what kind of role they have, etc. So, there's a lot that you can adjust and a lot that you can get into. But if you don't want to deal with any of that, you don't have to. All you have to really worry about is your starting rotation at the end of the day. That's something that you got to focus on. But other than that, if you don't want to focus on anything else, you don't really have to. It's not that big of a deal, especially if you're starting out, and it's a little overwhelming. But here you have your rosters, or your roster, I should say, and transactions. And this is like I should have mentioned that this row here is like a sub-menu of what you've clicked on. So you have your overview here, and it can tell you who's injured. So I have a couple injured players, and shows you everybody that's on your team, all together. And then you can separately go to the injured list, but I guess it won't let me because it's pulled up here. And then you can go to the transactions log, and it'll show you everything that's happened involving your team, within a given time frame. And as you can see, we're in May, so there's that. And then finally, well, not finally, but kind of like the other main thing to really focus on, especially if you're starting out, you have your lineups as well. So, you have a bunch of players here that you can pick from to make up your lineup. And these bars indicate how tired somebody is. You saw that in the pitching as well. Like, these guys are tired, so you probably shouldn't try and play them because they won't perform as well. But you have all of your players here, and you can kind of, if you hover over the names of these players, and this applies to the pitchers as well, if you hover over the names, you can learn about them. Like, this guy isn't all that great. His overall is not that high. Potential is not all that high. He's 30 years old. Stuff like that. Also gives you past stats from, past years, how he's played. And you can kind of use that information to form your lineup and, pick who you want to be in your starting lineup. And then same sort of thing with the pitchers. You can give players specific roles. You can have players sub in for other players, or start for other players on a given day or something like that on a given pattern. And you can designate pinch hitters as well and pinch runners. So there is that element of customization as well if you want to get into it. Mine is fine the way it is. I didn't really change anything. I like it how it is. But I change my lineup kind of frequently. Not really because I get a whole lot of new players, but sometimes I lose players and I got to substitute another guy in. So nothing significant, but, you do change your lineup pretty frequently. That's really it with this. There are also all these stats as well, and you can get into the nitty-gritty with that if you want to, but you don't have to. And then, there are all these other sub-menus as well. So I just learned this for myself. I didn't realize that there are separate lineups for left-hand pitchers and for right-handed pitchers. Hence why my lineup is messed up sometimes when I go in to start in a game. And I'm like, why isn't there anybody here? Why isn't there somebody in this slot or in another slot? And now I know it's because you have to manage two lineups. I am a fool. But yeah, so I will actually sort this out right now. We don't have a center fielder. And I think I want Michael Lorenzen because I think he is pretty solid. So we'll put him in there, and he'll be our center fielder because we don't actually have any center fielder in our lineup. Not the majors, but the single A team took the one center fielder that I have. So now I don't have any more. But anyway, so, you can do that. You can look at a graphical depth chart, so if somebody gets tired or if, you can set it on a pattern as well. The same sort of thing that you were looking at here, you can look at it here as well and kind of customize it. And then this is just a general overview of your lineups. And then this is your 7-day lineup. So if you want, you don't have to use these. I'm not using them. But you can set lineups, I think that change every 7 days. If I am understanding this correctly, there are some things with this game that I still don't understand, and I apologize for that because I'm not trying to be disingenuous. There are just some things that I don't understand fully yet. I've only logged a couple hours, but yeah. So it's looking like you can pick a lineup, a specific lineup, I guess, for a specific day. Potentially. I'm not entirely sure, but could be something to look into further once I get a better understanding of it. But it's not a huge deal at the end of the day, and especially if you're starting out, you don't need to worry about something like this. You can just set your lineups here and then kind of roll with that. And as you get more familiar with the game, you can, customize them on that level. But yeah, so I think I've covered. Strategy is a tab I haven't messed with at all, as you can see, but I've looked at it, and you can determine how often you want players to steal bases or to sacrifice or to sack bunts, or that's not the right way to say that, but you get the idea. You can change how frequently you want these kinds of things to happen. So depending on how aggressive you are or how conservative you are, you can alter it to fit your style. I haven't changed it because I haven't really found a need to. That and I didn't mean to do that. But it does alter how your players play, obviously, on the field. So if you want to change things up and change how things are simulated, you can alter these, and that will have an effect once you're on the field. And then there's individual player strategy as well, that you can mess with if you want to. Again, haven't messed with it all that much, but you can kind of mess around with that if you want to. There are a couple things that I haven't touched, and I'm not trying to. This video isn't meant to present it like I know everything about this game. These let's take a look at videos are really for us kind of both to check out a new game, and kind of learn what it's all about. It's just that this game in particular, I know a little bit more than I normally do. So, I apologize if you're looking for like an extensive walkthrough of everything that's going on here. But, I'm just trying to show everything off because I don't want to leave anything unturned or any leaf unturned. I think that's how the saying goes. Anyway, this is your front office as well. This is interesting. I haven't actually looked at this, but you can. I didn't realize there were actually different pitching and hitting coaches. I know that's a thing, legitimately in baseball. I just didn't realize it was a thing here. But you have individual coaches, and for example, this guy's contract is expiring at the end of the year, so you can extend his contract if you so desire. So there's that schedule, and then kind of a bunch of stats compiled here if you want to look at everything. This is actually really pleasing to look at. And this is everything for your team specifically. I'm not sure how you can view it for the league as a whole. I think that might be something on the home screen. Maybe. No. I'm not entirely sure, actually. Well, maybe there is some way, but I'm not really sure. So we can figure that out at another time. But now that I've kind of showed off everything that there is to show off here, I do want to get into the game. And I did mention it before, but I am in the middle of a game. I am currently losing this game 2-1. These are okay. I guess it took me to this menu right away. Oh, excuse me. But this is your in-game options menu. So all of your stats and everything are compiled here. And you can set, if you want the AI to control certain things for you, it can. I control everything because I like having that level of control. And then over here, you've got your substitutions. So If your pitcher is getting tired, you can sub in somebody. If somebody is hurt here, you can sub in somebody. And then you can look at their subs as well and see what they're doing. But box score here, pretty self-explanatory. Game log, this shows you everything that's happened over the course of the game. And then the network shows you everybody that is currently playing or has played today. I don't really pay attention to this a whole lot because I don't know. I haven't played the game enough to understand which teams I should really be paying attention to. Obviously the teams in my division, but it's kind of a lot to follow. So as I get more involved with the game, I'm sure that it will become easier to kind of interpret. But for now, it's kind of like, these are the other teams in the AAA league. And then this is the game action page. So this is everything actually happening on the field. It looks like a lot, but it actually isn't. You know, it's not really, there isn't a whole lot you have to pay attention to. And I think there are ways that you can close these dialogue boxes. Not dialogue, but these boxes here if you don't want to see them. This just shows you your lineup. And the same thing over here. Right now I'm pitching, so it's showing me all my stats for my current pitcher. You know, like what his stamina is currently at, how many pitches he's thrown, which is important information for when you're, you know, looking to make substitutions. If your pitcher is tired, you're obviously going to want to make a substitution so that you sub in somebody that isn't tired. And then this is the opposing side. So right now they have somebody that's batting, and you can look at their stats. So for example, this guy has a 3.54 average, so he's a pretty good hitter. And that can kind of, if you wanted to, you can use this information to influence how you pitch to individual players. So up here, you can decide what you want to do in any given situation. So you can pitch normally, can pitch around, which I actually don't know what that does. I don't pitch around and pitch to, I think that's continue. Not really sure what that means, but those are there. You can hold the runner. So I have a runner on second, so you can hold him there, which means that you'll keep an eye on him, and then you can throw to second to if you think he's going to steal, then you can check on him. His speed is 45, so I doubt he is going to steal, but somebody with a higher speed stat could potentially steal, and if you want to check him, you can. And then pitch out, I'm assuming that means you're trying to pitch for the out, but I don't really it's a little confusing to me still, but and then you can intentionally walk. If somebody is notorious for home runs, or they bat a lot of runners in, then you can intentionally walk them. You can hit the batter if you want to. Wouldn't recommend that, to be honest. I mean, because it's like, I don't really understand the point. Why would you do that? But you can do it. And then you can visit the mound as well to check in on your pitcher. If they've let up 2 home runs in a row or something, you can visit the mound, see how they're feeling. If they're not feeling good, you can sub somebody else in. But over here, I'm going to click on box score. It's not what I thought that was going to do. But there's like, for whatever reason, there was like oh, you know what? It's because I'm in windowed mode. But it'll show the box score. Sometimes it'll show the full box score actually on the screen, but because I'm playing in a smaller window so that I can actually record this game, it's not there. So it's just showing you the score, which is a little unfortunate because I like the box score better. And it'll show you how much you score per inning, your hits, your errors, etc. But that's all right. And then Lastly, before we get into the game itself, you have the stats of your current players on the field. How good they are at their respective positions. So this guy, he's not good at center field at all, but I don't have a designated center fielder, so there's nothing I can do. But also gives you some stats on important information regarding, what they specifically do. So, these guys have good arms, so they can make a throw to home plate if somebody is trying to steal home, or if somebody is trying to go home on a pop fly or something like that. So they can do that. Alrighty. All of that out of the way, we are just about to get into this. Finally. I spent 26 minutes explaining everything before we get into the actual gameplay. But last thing I promise, you can switch this on. So this influences pitch by pitch, gives you some more control. I normally don't have that on because I have realized that I don't make good decisions when I am pitching. Especially since I don't understand what these controls do necessarily. I think it's better for me to kind of just click pitch, and then it'll take you to the pitch that will either produce a hit, either produce a hit or produce an out or produce a walk or anything like that. So it'll take you to that pitch right away. So it took us to that pitch immediately, and this is going to be a pop fly for us. And so you have a live play-by-play up here as well. And now it's the top of the third, and we're batting again. So you can look at their pitcher stats as well. And you don't have as many options to start off with, but there are more. You can swing, which is just, take you. It's the same thing as the pitch option. It'll take you to the specific pitch where there's either going to be a hit, an out, or a walk or something like that. You can take a pitch, which means that you will not swing at it no matter what. You can bunt. We don't have this option because we don't have a base runner, but you can steal second, steal third, steal home. You can do a double steal, which means two players will move at once. Send forced. Send. I feel like it's right on the tip of my tongue what that means, but not entirely sure. Hit and run, I think is. I think that has something to do with somebody being on base, so if you get a hit, or if you make contact with the ball, they'll run, regardless of what happens. Not a good idea. Or you can run and hit, meaning they will start running, and then you hit it. I think. I'm taking a guess here because I haven't used these controls. But finally, you can bunt, and I think these are two variations of bunting. So, two different kinds of bunting. But, yeah, all right. Let's actually watch the core gameplay loop. You do a lot of watching. You don't have a lot of control, or any control really, when things are actually happening and moving on screen. But it's in between outs, in between pitches, et cetera, where you have the control. So next batter is up. We got a single there. Hell yeah. And we have a base runner, so we have these options that are now opened up for us. And ideally, we would like to get on the board here and tie the game up. That would be the ideal situation. Is it going to happen? Probably not. But we'll see. Oh, did he hit a home run? Holy shit, dude, he hit a home run. Look at that. We're actually in the lead. Made me eat my words. Hell yeah. All right. So we got a home run there. And he pitched a walk. So he is not feeling too good at the moment. But his stamina is still relatively high. So he'll probably be able to get out of this inning without any issues. And he actually threw it back to first and caught my guy. because my guy was leading off too much. Well, alrighty. So we'll just pitch here. Get the out. There we go. And you know what? I do have one complaint, and I don't know if this is a legitimate complaint or not, but it's a complaint that I have. But sometimes the players on the screen will do certain things, or they won't do certain things, and you'll kind of just look at it and go, why? You know, like sometimes they'll bunt, and then the ball will be right next to the pitcher, but the pitcher won't pick it up. Somebody else has to run in and grab it and throw it to first. You know, and it doesn't make any sense. Or other times they'll hit it to the first baseman, and he'll just stand there and wait for somebody to run over instead of running over and getting the out. You know, it's just like it's weird, you know, sometimes how they operate. And it kind of makes me think that a lot of what happens in these games is premeditated, meaning that, you know, they like it doesn't matter what you do necessarily. Things are going to happen the way that the game has designated they will happen. I'm not sure if this is actually a thing. I feel like it isn't. But sometimes, man, it's like why don't they do a certain thing, you know? Why don't they do the logical thing to do in a situation, you know? It's just a little bizarre. But it's a minor complaint because it doesn't come up too often. And at the end of the day, there's a lot that you can do to influence whether or not you get a win. You know, like on this screen here, as opposed to, or, you know, before games or after games. So it's not like a deal breaker. It's not like it's rigging games or anything like that. It's just, that's, you know, it's like a minor thing at the end of the day, but they tied it up. So it's 3-3. And I think this is a good stopping point for this video. I don't think I need to really like play out the rest of this game because that'll take a while anyway. But I guess one last thing is that you can actually skip ahead to a certain point in the game if you want to. Yeah, this has been Out of the Park Baseball 20. I really enjoy playing this game. I don't think that I'm going to start a series on it because it'd be pretty boring to watch in my eyes. And that's not a slight against the game, but it's like, it's not necessarily what I'm doing. You know, a lot of this is me just pressing this button here and watching what happens. And it's like it gets pretty repetitive after a while, you know, and I don't think that would be too entertaining. But, you know, obviously, if you guys want to see a series on it, I'd be more than happy to do it. Just let me know down in the comment section below. Yeah, but ultimately, I really enjoy this game. I'm going to continue playing it for a while. I've kind of got a new addiction at the moment, and this game is it. So anyway, with that being said, if you guys enjoyed this episode this Let's Take a Look at video of Out of the Park Baseball 20, let me know down in the comment section below. Like the video and share with your friends. It lets me know you want to see more of any game series I do here on the channel. The link down to the game is in the description box below if you want to pick it up for yourself. Subscribe to my channel for more gaming content. I play all sorts of games on my channel. Thank you guys very much for watching. Love you very much, and I will talk to you later.